Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Welcome to Thursday. And Mara's on vacation today, so me and Kaustubha are just sort of like left juggling stuff around here, trying to figure out the technology behind this.
First time
Morning,
ever.
Kaustubha.
Good morning, Raghu.
Excuse me, the pandemic has given me excuses to wear bandanas around.
Yeah, it looks real like you got a Western theme you got going here.
No cowboy boots, but I do have, check out this button I got in the mail.
I can't see it.
Can't really see it. It's a Bhakti-yogi Thakur button.
Oh, I got one of those too. That was from, we should plug her. Right? Kaveri.
Rati Krishna sent it to me.
Oh, well, it's probably designed by Kaveri, right?
And his
fiance.
Fiance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's quite an artist. Kuveri. How do you spell her? Maybe give her her Instagram handle.
I am Kaveri.
I'm gonna look it up.
.com.
It's almost worth. It's worth handing out these things. I am Kuveri.
But she's got great prints. Like I got some in my home. You can't see them in here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the beautiful ones. I got one. I got the one she did of the feet of Govinda in Jaipur, but that Genevieve used for her latest record. And I've got I got a few of them. They're really nice. And with it came that little button of Bhakti-yogi Thakur. You see, it's falling apart without Mara. You are falling apart right now. Can you hear me? Look, the cable on your mic is broke or something like that.
She's remotely sabotaging the show. Yeah, her Instagram handle is
I am Kaveri.
Hi _ I am Kaveri, Kaveri.
That's Instagram.
Hi _ I am Kaveri.
Yep.
She's just a great spiritual artist.
Really is.
Yeah. I'm giving the credit to her, although he sent me this. Maybe he made it. Maybe he's an artist.
It could be.
He just doesn't. Okay.
Not as famous for it.
Both of them. Yeah. I heard you got a nectar nugget. Kaustubha's got the nugget today.
I've got a nugget for you. I mean, this is a famous nugget.
Give us some nectar. Give us some nectar.
It's a famous nugget. It's been spoken many times in many traditions, but but I think because it's so, what it illustrates is so clear and valuable. Although you've been hesitant to share this nugget, Raghunath, so we're going to get to the bottom of it, okay? It's not an anti-girl nugget. That's not what this is about. All right.
No, not anti-girl. I thought it was like just sort of like a brahmachari wisdom. But I want to hear you say it because sometimes depending on who says the nugget, it churns out a different piece of wisdom.
Okay. Or
so
even
let me hear what you say.
Anti-wisdom if it's churned improperly, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So there's a
Tell me the story. The two monks.
Two monks. They're on a journey together, right? They've got a long way to go. They're walking together, and they're absorbed in the meditation. Monks, they have all kind of different rules in their life, right? They got different kind of regulations. And to me, this story is about the purpose.
Yeah.
Always understanding the purpose of the regulations, right? Because sometimes, if you don't understand the purpose, then sometimes you miss the point, right? Or the purpose is never served.
Mm.
So they're walking together, and they come to like a stream, like a creek or something like that, right? And there's a woman there on the bank of it, and she's having trouble getting across it. I don't know why she's having trouble getting across it and why they aren't, but for some reason, I don't know, for shoes or something, or she doesn't want to get her dress wet, something
She
like
didn't
that.
want to get wet. She was wearing
Yeah.
a gown.
Yeah, some kind of gown maybe she had on, so it was hard for her to cross. They're probably just walking around in their lungies or whatever, and their something that you can just jack up real easy and go. So in any case, she's a little stranded there, and it's obvious that she needs some help. So the elder monk is like, "Oh, do you need some help?" And she's, "Oh, I really could use some help." And he actually like picks her up, and he walks across the creek with her, and then he puts her down, and then she goes on her way, and the monks go on their way, and they continue their walking. They're walking. Time is passing, hours are passing. It's practically like the end of the day now. But the elder monk can sense something with the younger monk, that he's
Bothered.
He's bothered.
Bothered.
Something is disturbing his mind. He can see this. He's saying, is there something wrong? If there's anything wrong, please feel free to share with me. Have I done anything? What is it? And he says, well, I just can't believe that you had the audacity to lift this woman up and bring her. What were you thinking? That's like
We're
totally against
monks.
our
We don't
code.
lift women up.
We're monks. We don't even touch women. I mean, that's like part of our, it's like, it's part of our code that we never touch a woman, and you lifted her up. I can't believe
Carried
it.
her on on your shoulders.
You carried her, and then
I added the shoulders part.
The
I don't
shoulders.
think she was carried on the shoulders.
All right. But then the elder monk says, my friend, I just carried her for just a few feet, and then I put her down. But you've continued to carry her for the entire day in your mind. Now this is interesting, right? So to me, what this illustrates is, there's an idea that, like, in yoga, let's say, in yoga in general, that there are regulations that we have. There are different rules that are followed, or different regulations. Different practitioners have different kind of regulations. But the idea is that we want to settle the mind and keep the mind peaceful, so that it doesn't control us and that we can control it, right? So that we can bring in the kind of thoughts, the kind of impressions that will be valuable for our practice, right? So that we can deeply absorb that mind and spiritual content. And certainly sexuality has the potential, strong potential, to distract the mind. And so certain practitioners, not all, but certain practitioners, all will have to regulate their sexuality, not let it control them, right?
It's an energy. It's got to be regulated.
It's got to be, it's got to be controlled and regulated and that can be done in different ways. For a married person, it's controlled one way. For, a monk, it's controlled another way. For the monks, they would have these particularly strict regulations, and that would be reflected in how you deal with the opposite sex. And so these monks would have a rule that, we don't touch them, we're respectful.
We don't carry women around.
Yeah, we're
This
respectful.
is one of our little things we don't do.
But no touching allowed.
No lifting women, carrying them around the room.
Yeah. And so, but this elder monk, he's kind of like, his practices have taken effect, and he's got, he saw a need.
After I stopped becoming a monk, I just started picking up women randomly. Just
You went out of control.
carrying them.
You're like, I don't
walking
need
them
you to
around.
carry me. It's like, it's okay, I can do this. So the elder one, who's kind of like mature, he could see, okay, there's a need, there's a rule, and there's a reason for the rule. But right now, this need here is more important than the rule, and I can deal with it and not lose the purpose of what the rule is serving. Right? I can help her and still let it go in my mind and not get distracted, and everything's fine. Whereas the younger one, he just knew the rule. He didn't know the purpose of the rule. He didn't really have the realization of.
This is big. This is a big one. The purpose behind the rule.
And we were talking about this the other day when we had Raghunath on the show, right? And that that you said, Raghunath, that the tradition is meant to serve love, right? Like we have to understand like the regulations within tradition. What are they? What's the purpose of it? And are we meeting the purpose of it? Because often, and this is why people really don't like religion, right? And it's totally understandable, is because it's got all these rules, but commonly people don't know the purpose. And rather than making you
Sure.
a softer, kinder, more loving, person, it can make you a harder, crueler, more judgmental person,
Uh-huh.
right? So,
The
so, so
tradition should serve love.
there you go.
Raghunath.
There's your
It's like a
tattoo.
T-shirt I wear around. I wear around a
Tradition.
T-shirt with my own quote on it. What do you think about that?
You could do that. It's a good quote. Why not? And, there's that verse. What is it? Oh man, why can't I think
Come
of the verse?
on, verse it
It's that
up.
one. Well, the end of it is
Put
ATOA
yourself on the hot
Vikinkara.
seat.
Right? I know. I got myself on the hot seat. I can't turn to Mara and put Mara on the hot seat. Mara, what's the verse? Oh, by the way, we got to check in with Mara and see if she's learned 1866 by the time she comes back. She's going to
I
probably
gave her
listen to
two.
this.
I gave her
Mara,
two verses.
we haven't
We're gonna-
forgotten it. But what's the verse? Smartavya sadatam Vishnur, Vishvartabno najatuchit. Sarve vide nisevasur, Etayor evakinkara. Do you know that?
No, I don't know that one. I know it.
Okay.
I'm
Smartavya satatam Vishnu. One should always remember Vishnu, or one should always remember Krishna, right?
Hmm.
And the second rule is never forget him, right? Like, and then it says Sarve Vidi, all of the rules, all the
yeah.
regulations. Sarve Vidi Nasedasyor, Etayor Eva Kinkara. They're all Kinkara. They're all servants of this. Like in other words, these rules, they're not just rules for the sake of being, stricter than the next person or whatever. They're rules that are meant to help bring your mind to the right place, right? And if our mind isn't going to the right place, then the rule, there's no point to it, right? The regulation, there's no point to it. So this elder monk, he got that. He was able to make an adjustment. He was able to be flexible enough, to help someone that needed some help, and still keep his meditation where he wanted to keep it.
You know what?
Whereas
You
the
really
younger
told
one,
that story well. You told
you
that
like
story
it.
well.
Well, and let's just finish it up. And the younger one, he followed the rule, but his mind completely went off in this. He was walking around with a disturbed mind like the entire day.
Sure.
So that's how I understand that story. That it has to do with understanding the purpose to the regulations that we follow.
You know, you told it very nicely. It was
Okay.
nugget worthy.
It was nugget worthy. Thank you.
That nugget can translate into nectar. It is nectar. That's a nectar
Nugget.
nugget.
Okay.
A nectarian nectar
It was a
nugget.
wisdom nugget, not a nectar nugget.
A nectar nugget.
Because again, I looked up nectar. It's liquid by definition. So nugget
I know.
means
It
solid. by definition.
solidifies and becomes a crunchy piece of candy.
Okay, then it's a nugget. Then it's just a nugget. And it has
That's a nectar nugget.
Right. I tried. Okay. So we ready to get
Just like it's like you ever see like right now it's upstate it's everybody's got their what's it called? We're all making maple syrup. Everybody's making maple syrup
Oh.
right now.
they're getting the sap.
So we're just stirring sap and tapping trees, and the kids are losing their mind and collecting sap.
Do you
And,
do that on your own property? With your own?
we tap on our property, but my neighbors have the stove set up, and they just sit out there and it's great. It's sort of like a klatch. You know what a klatch is?
No idea what a klatch is.
Look up klatch while I tell the story. I think it's I think where's Mara? A klatch is when you get. I think a klatch is when you just get together and gab. So you just go out there and gab, and you just stir, and you just stir it. It goes on all day long. It's what people did before they had to work. You just get together and do everything's meditation.
How do you spell klatch?
Everything in natural life, like gardening's meditation.
CLACH.
Klatch.
Oh, there's a T in there as well. Klatch.
Klatch, yeah. Klatch. We get together and we klatch it up.
Klatch. A social gathering, especially for coffee and conversation.
Yeah, so we do a maple syrup klatch. Just get around.
And you bring
stir.
your sap over there.
Bring the sap over there. Pour it in.
They give you some syrup at the end.
Give us a little syrup, yeah.
All right.
So it's part of the anyway.
You
How are
country.
you talking
That's
about
their
this?
whole
Well,
thing.
anyway,
I see
after
it,
you,
Raghunath.
so you
I see
cook
it
it
in you.
down. You got to cook it down.
Yeah.
It gets harder. It gets into syrup. You cook it more. It gets into that maple spread. You cook it more. You get the nectar nugget.
Okay.
So comes candy.
But I kind of get your thing now. You got like the denim jacket. I believe someone who saw you on Joe Rogan was under the impression that was a $300
He
denim
criticized my
jacket.
denim jacket. It's like a jean jacket I got at Salvation Army. Or my wife's a secondhand shopper extraordinaire. She can pick out good quality things in
Okay.
Salvation Army.
So you got the denim jacket. You got the bandana. You've got the maple syrup thing, klatch going on. You're like a country kind of
And
Americana.
You know what? Thank God I'm a country boy.
Okay.
Got me a fine wife. I got me old fiddle.
Yeah.
When the sun's coming up, I got cakes on the griddle.
And you got maple syrup for them now too. All right. Let's get into it. You ready?
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devam saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudire. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Narayan, to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Midatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to my spiritual masters who have opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance, with the ointment of knowledge. Hey, by the way, I just want to mention, I'm doing something for Gaur Purnim. I'm part of a program that's going on. If you what are you doing for Gaur Purnim? Gaur Purnim is Chaitanya's appearance. So I'm doing something in New Paltz that was set up. It's just sort of like a kirtan and vegan dinner.
It's the Revels putting that together, right? Is that the Revels?
Yeah. Go to
Those
Gaura
people.
Fest, Gaura Fest.com. If you live anywhere in that vicinity, New Paltz-ish, come celebrate.
Well,
Some of our Zoomers are coming down.
One of the most important holidays in the Bhakti tradition.
Yeah, because Lord Chaitanya Lord Chaitanya, his background is so great. I'm going to tell some good stories about him, but he basically, it's very difficult to understand the enigma that is Hinduism. And Lord Chaitanya just cut it open and made it very, very simple to understand. And like the monk, like the senior monk, extracted just the essential teachings, because you can really get lost in the details. But the essence is what we go for.
That's right.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
We have is Saragrahi with us here today. That's
another incredible artist.
Another incredible artist, and her name means one who seeks the essence, right? That's what a Bhakti-yogi is supposed to do. Supposed to seek the essence.
Saragrahi's a great artist. Saragrahi, do us a favor. Do us all a favor. Put your Instagram handle up on the board too. Saragrahi. She's good. Saragrahi _art. Sarah, like the girl's name, Sarah. GRAHI _art. She's really good too. Okay. We've got talent amongst us.
We do.
If you want us to promote your Instagram handle, you can for only $100. We accept Bitcoins and other. We're just kidding. We just voluntarily. She didn't pay us. We just like her art.
Okay.
Do you want to grow your followers? Did you ever get those ads?
I do. We get them.
We
Wisdom
get
of
them.
the Sages gets them, yeah. But we don't play that game.
Okay. All right. So, by the way, we are going to talk about the magic that is life. Life is quite magical. You know, that's sort of a theme today. I pulled out that famous quote by Albert Einstein. There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. It's just, it's really just a lens we wear. That's just life. That's life. Or the other is though as everything is a miracle. And actually, when you start seeing the world like that, you realize, wow, It's a miracle. It's just a different, the spiritual lens sees that magic that's going on right in front of our eyes. Now, I hope I wasn't a spoiler with that statement, but that's sort of like where we're going today with these verses.
Let's go there. Yeah, well, what's happening now is we're going to wind up chapter 6 today of the third canto, right? Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, chapter 6. We're going to read the last three texts, 38 through 40, wherein what happened in this chapter was that Maitreya described creation to Vidura, and it involves some very far out stuff, right? It's said that there's one being who spreads their consciousness and their potency throughout the entire universe and maintains it all. And through the potency of that one being, Vishnu in this case, everything develops. You know, not only does he supply the ingredients, but then he kind of sets off those ingredients, you know, into a cycle wherein every detail is precisely carried out, including the developments of the bodies and all the different senses for the living beings, including all the devas who are kind of responsible for the proper operation of all that equipment, such as the different planetary systems in all of their fine detail, such as the codes of dharma for the different psychologies that people will have, all the different species. Everything's all laid out by the consciousness and the awareness and the potency of this one being. Now what he's going to do, and all of this is there. You know, why are we hearing this? Everything is leading up. The way that the Bhagavatam is working is it's just full of information about creation, full of information about the universe, full of information about Lord Vishnu, full of information about the devas, full of information about who we are. But it's also that when we get to that 10th canto and we hear, which is 1/4 of the whole thing, right? There's 12 cantos, but the 10th is like, it's the biggest.
The big one.
It's the big one, which is just Krishna's life. So that when we look at that and hear his life, his glories, that we can understand the whole thing with the right understanding, with the right perspective. So it's in one sense it's incredibly meaningful. Every verse as we're going through is meaningful on its own, but also understand that it's preparing us to give us the goggles, right? Give us the vision, so that we can understand Krishna's life, understand who he is. Even though he's a boy, he's running around. What's he doing, Raghunath?
Just stealing stuff, lying. Stealing and lying. Stealing, lying, and loving.
Carousing, loving.
Like a pirate.
Yeah, he's lawless. He's lawless.
He's a lawless pirate.
There is a verse, there's a verse of when Krishna and his brother Balaram are walking into Mathura, right? They've lived their whole life in the village, and now they go into the city. They're blowing everyone away.
This is such a great pastime. Krishna
Yeah.
coming in. Krishna's just like the country boy coming into the city, and he's like lawless.
He's so beautiful, and he's just doing what he wants to do, and people are like either incredibly attracted by him, and he's blowing everyone's mind.
It's got like a Huckleberry Finn type of thing, just coming in.
Huckleberry Finn.
Well, Huckleberry Finn's like, he's got his pants rolled up, he's got a straw hat, riding down the Mississippi.
The connection.
That's the Yamuna. That's the Yamuna. Don't you get the parallel?
I didn't quite. But in any case, there's a verse that said Krishna and Balaram, they did not care for the law and order of Kamsa, the evil ruler, right? Like for them, what anxiety do they have? They were free. They're just doing what they wanted. And I think we find that attractive in people, and that's why we're attracted to people that live like that, even though we can't handle it. When we're lawless, we end up in jail. We end up dead. We generally can't handle it. But that feature, that quality is attractive to us when someone can just live free of anxiety of law and so on.
We were reading Krishna book the other day, and Krishna does these things that if we were to do them, they wouldn't be cool. They wouldn't be respectable. And so Krishna, we were reading how Krishna ran away from a battle. Like it's like the lowest thing you could do for a warrior to say, I'm getting out of here. Krishna runs away, and he's worshipped for it. In parts of Gujarat, they worship Krishna as Ranachorji, meaning like the coward. He ran away from the battle. So in this particular pastime, there's a guy carrying a bunch of like folded clothing, like a washerman. He just washed all the clothes for the king. And Krishna goes, oh, give me those clothes. And the washerman goes, who do you think you are? Do you know whose clothes these are? These are the king's clothes. You think you're going to get the king's clothes? Get out of here. I'm going to tell the king. I'm going to tell the king that you want his clothes. And then you're going to be in big trouble. You know how Krishna dealt with that? He open hand slapped this guy and took all the clothes and dressed in the king's clothes and gave them out to all his cowherd boyfriends.
That sounds terrible.
Now, if I go,
That sounds terrible.
It sounds terrible. If I was to go and if there was a man walking down the street with a bunch of clothes and I went up and said, give me your clothes, and I slapped him when he didn't give them to me, that's like a low class activity. When
Very
Krishna
low.
does it, it's like hysterical. It's funny. And you know, the guy had a backstory too. He was the guy in Krishna Leela. No, he was the guy in
Ram
Krishna Leela. The washerman was in Ram Leela, and he was the one that spread all the rumors about Sita. And
Oh man, that guy's
and
mouth on the
agitated
guy.
Lord Ram and created a bunch of dissident, and then Krishna gave him some little transcendental payback.
But through that,
Of course, liberated.
he becomes liberated, right? So it was actually an act of grace. When we do it, it's not.
When we do it, it's a criminal. Slapping washerman is a criminal activity. I'm not here to promote that, people. I just want you to get that straight. Do not slap
So-
people who wash their clothes.
Well, this goes to the point that I'm making is that lawless boy, young man, adolescent, who's apparently causing trouble, but doing it in the most stunning, beautiful, hilarious, sometimes, and ultimately graceful way. He is that same being who, by an expansion of his own self, spreads his consciousness and his potency throughout all the universes and maintains them. Right. So in any case, at this point, what Maitreya says to Vidura is, who can estimate you can't know the complete glories of this being because they're unlimited. And if one's going to approach this with a mind that's limited by their own experience, right? If one is going to say, well, my knowledge is expanded to a certain degree, and this appears to be ridiculous. Why? Well, because it's way beyond what I can grasp, right? So therefore, I kind of I categorize it as mythology or ridiculous or whatever. You will never understand it that way. And let's look at the minds of people that think this way and just see how they're missing everything that's going on around them, right? So
You know what's going on is you've
going on?
got a very detailed, instead of like a culture where it's just says, there's a God, you should love God, God is good. It is the science of God. It's getting into like real detailed, heady stuff, but like a scientific understanding of God. And if I can, we already quoted Albert Einstein once.
you got another
Okay.
Einstein first?
I got another Einstein for you. I had an Einstein fest this morning.
Okay.
At 2 a.m, I was studying Albert Einstein.
I know you read the scientific journals early in the morning.
This is where Prabhupada gets this verse, this quote. He got it from Einstein. Science without religion. This is what Einstein said. Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind. Prabhupada said it slightly different. Prabhupada said science without religion is mental speculation.
I think he said philosophy, not science, right?
Oh yeah.
But more or less the
Philosophy.
same idea.
But science. Okay. All right. So let's stick with Einstein today. Science
Okay,
without
Einstein.
religion is lame. Religion without science is blind.
Are you sure he said that?
Yeah, it is. I'm sure.
Are you positive?
I'm absolutely positive. There's no speculation whatsoever. Now,
Okay.
Prabhupada said,
Because you read it on the internet?
yes.
Okay.
Now, why don't you quote Prabhupada's quote? Similar
His
quote.
was that religion without philosophy is sentiment, and
It's a
philosophy without
yeah.
religion is dry speculation.
Yeah, mental speculation, dry speculation.
So they can be combined in a mature synthesis, right?
Yeah, this is what we have here. We have philosophy. We have science. We're going to take both these quotes and merge them together. We have sentiment.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go to Maitreya. Okay, text 38. Why don't you just read these three straight through, 38 through 40. Wrap up the chapter.
38 through 40.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my son, original poet Brahma, after mature meditation for
No, 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 no,
1,000
no, no, no,
celestial.
no, 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 no. His son isn't Brahma. It's oh my son.
Oh, my
Speaking of
son, the
the
original poet Brahma,
there you go.
after mature it's all where you put that comma. Oh, my son, the original poet Brahma, after mature meditation for 1,000 celestial years, could know only that the glories of the Supreme Soul are inconceivable. Yep. That's what
This
happens. It
by
never
the
ends. It
but
never ends.
yeah, and by the way, this verse was preceded by the one that we read yesterday, where he said that the activities of Krishna, as they're described, particularly in the 10th canto, right? But such activities are so nicely arranged in writings by the greatly learned sages that the actual purpose of the ear is served by being near to them. Okay.
This is again the Fibonacci spiral, like from the material world to the celestial realm. It's like even if you go down, down, down. Okay, I'm going to study animals. Okay, I'm going to study insects. Okay, I'm going to study ants. You can spend your entire life studying ants. I've heard scientists say this, and you can never get to the bottom of certain things. You can break it down more and more and more. And it's just like it goes deeper and deeper, like that Fibonacci spiral. And here is Brahma studying the Supreme for 100,000 celestial
keep
years.
drilling it more and more and more and more and more, and you
Never
never
quite
come to the
understand.
end. How is this all arranged?
And in our arrogance, we think we can figure out the world. It's so incredibly narcissistic, like that we can figure it all out.
And if we can't, then it's not real.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
The wonderful potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is bewildering, even to the jugglers. I love that, the jugglers.
Jugglers.
like what did
I
that
looked
mean?
that up, by the way.
Circus people juggling?
No, I looked that up too. Let me pull that back up.
That must be a British thing.
Where's Mara?
That must be a British thing, the jugglers. The wonderful potency of the personality of God is
juggle.
bewildering to the jugglers.
I think this is what he's referring to here. And he also goes into the commentary, so there's more clue about that. To juggle can mean to organize information or figures in order to give a particular impression.
That's not an English thing. That's not an American thing. That's got to be a British. I've never heard juggler used like this.
No, but
It could be a Victorian English thing. A juggler. Stop juggling.
well, here's an example of how it could be used. Defense chiefs juggle the figures on bomb tests.
Okay. All right.
You've ever heard it used like that?
Never, but that's okay. That potency is unknown even to the self-sufficient Lord, so it's certainly unknown to others. Text 40. Words, mind, and ego, with their perspective controlling demigods, have failed to achieve success in knowing the personality of Godhead. Therefore, we simply have to offer our respectful obeisances unto him as a matter of sanity.
It's a matter of sanity.
It's like if we just want to be sane, we have to offer respect.
Sometimes I hear some of the quote unquote scientific explanations for the world, and I say, this is insane. Right now, I know that that people that are like skeptics, they look at spiritual teaching and say, this is insane.
Yeah.
But sometimes when I hear these other explanations, I say, come on, man, this is ridiculous. Now here's part of the commentary to text 39. He talks about he's talking about wranglers, okay?
Okay.
You're taking a selfie right now? What are you doing?
Why is it a selfie? This is a picture of you.
Okay.
Taking a picture of you.
Oh, thank you. So he says, the most wonderful puzzle for the mundane wranglers.
The mundane wranglers. That's a t-shirt right there. A mundane wrangler.
The most wonderful puzzle for the mundane wranglers is that while they remain calculating the length and breadth of the unlimited potency of the Supreme Person, his faithful devotees are free from the bondage of material engagements simply by appreciating the wonderful jugglery of the Supreme in the practical field. Okay, jugglery. Here I think I understand what jugglery means. Because another definition of jugglery, to juggle. Oh man, I took it down. Juggle.
Jugglery.
To juggle, to continuously toss, yeah. To cope with by adroitly bouncing, right? Like to bounce something. To what does adroitly mean? Skillfully,
Adroitly means like expertly.
in a clever or skillful way. So in a clever or skillful way, cope by bouncing things. That's called juggling, right? Or jugglery.
Mm.
So we can understand that how someone has to look at every detail of this universe and see how this is all being very adroitly juggled, right? The bounce, how it's all maintained. And as you're saying, it's a Fibonacci spiral, right? Look at the human body. Look at the birth of the human body, right? And the body that came before it. You know, look at the universe, the atmosphere, you know, the environment that the human body is moving around in. You know, look at the entire planet. Look at the solar system. You know, look at the galaxy. You know,
The whole thing's magical.
the whole thing's magical. So he goes on. He says, the most wonderful puzzle for the mundane wranglers is that while they remain calculating the length and breadth of the unlimited potency of the Supreme, even that sentence, right? How can you measure something that's unlimited? He says his faithful devotees are set free from the bondage of material engagement simply by appreciating. All you have to do is appreciate it, the wonderful jugglery of the Supreme in the practical field, right? Looking at the world around us. The devotees of the Lord see the wonderful dexterity in everything with which they come in contact in all circumstances of eating, sleeping, working. I'm seeing God everywhere, right? Everywhere I look, I'm seeing the evidence. It's clear, right? The way things have been juggled, the way it's all balanced, the way it's all working together.
Mm.
You know, it's obvious that there's a designer behind it. Now he gives this example. A small banyan fruit contains thousands of small, I guess the banyan fruit, does it give figs or something fig-like?
Yeah, a banyan is a type of fig.
Okay, so when you look
So
inside
if you ever seen a
right?
fig, it's got thousands of seeds inside of it.
One little fig. It's got so many seeds in there. Okay,
Yeah.
so small banyan fruit contains thousands of small seeds, and each seed holds the potency of another tree, which again holds the potency of many millions of such fruits.
And if
as
you're familiar with
causes-
fig trees, they're massive.
Yes. So, well, banyan trees are the most massive,
Yeah.
the biggest tree there is. So, which again holds. So, I'll read this again. A small banyan fruit
An
contains
entire
thousands.
city block in Calcutta, by the way.
Thank you.
It's the biggest banyan tree in the world.
Half a mile. That's the measurement of it.
Is that it? Half a mile?
Half a square mile or whatever.
Really?
Yeah, I'll read to you because I got my book right here, Around the World in 80 Trees.
Ooh.
You would like this book, Raghunath. It's got
I
the
would
Latin
love it. It
names in there and
sounds
everything.
great.
So,
Well,
a
the
small,
interesting side note is they grow so peculiarly, almost like with caverns and caves.
well, this
that
talks about how
sadhus-
that. I'll read to you. I'm going to read to you about some of the magic that's going on all around us. Okay, right from this book.
Okay.
All right, but let me just
Well,
finish
that's
this
the.
first.
Okay. Go.
Okay. A small banyan fruit contains thousands of small seeds, and each seed holds the potency of another tree, which again holds the potency of many millions of such fruits as causes and effects.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. When you think about it, it's unbelievable. So the trees and seeds engage the devotees in meditation about the activities of the Lord, while the mundane wrangler wastes time in dry speculation and mental concoction, which are fruitless in both this life and the next. In spite of their pride in speculation, they can never appreciate the simple activities of the banyan tree's potency. Such speculators are poor souls, destined to remain in matter perpetually. Right? There's a huge clue about life here in this commentary, right? If you just look, even if you take the example of one fruit, just by fully understanding that fruit, right? Or even partially understanding that fruit, you can understand everything, right? It's a clue to everything. It's a huge clue.
Kaustubha,
What?
you're so deep.
You too, Raghu.
You study a cherry, and you can understand the universe.
It's amazing, right?
It is amazing. All right, here's homework for everybody here today. Here's homework. You've got to write 3 miraculous things, and you got to message them to me in the direct message on Instagram at Raghunath Yogi. I want 3 magical things that you overlook on a regular basis, but you're going to notice today. Okay, you can
Okay.
do it right now, or you can do it whenever you hear this. But 3 miracle things.
3 miracles.
We got to keep our mind like sharp like that. Like this is magic happening right around us. Not
Well,
things that you always say, oh, it's a miracle. These things that you're not thinking of, yeah,
they're actually miracles.
they're actually
So
miracles.
so we can I for Christmas I got my wife this book, Around the World in 80 Trees, right?
Okay, give me some.
Written by Yeah, this is written by Jonathan Drury. It's got really great illustrations to it. It's just like these fold out pages of 80 different trees from different places. They're categorized by the places around the world. And but I love the writing. I love the art and I love the writing because he's kind of showing like and even he's just scratching the surface because it's just like a page or two on each tree. But but he shows like the far out things that are going on that you never know about. Like you mentioned ants, right? What did you say about ants? You you used ants as the Fibonacci spiral example.
Yeah.
That if you just look at the life, there's a tree called the whistling thorn,
Yeah.
the Vachelia drapenolabium.
You don't have to do the Latin, but
I know you like it.
I
So
appreciate
much.
it.
Okay, but this whistler, it's called a whistling thorn because it has these kind of like balls on it, and they become hollow. That you get a hole in, and they become hollow. When the wind blows through them, it creates this whistling sound. Okay, and each one of those balls has a long thorn, a long sharp thorn. Now that thorn is what's going to protect the tree from getting killed, right? It's going to maintain it, right? So that animals can't just come and, eat all its leaves so that it dies or things like that.
Sure.
But some animals can get beyond that. Like for like an animal like an elephant that's got like a real thick skin, it's not a problem. Or a giraffe with like a really long tongue can come in and just like kind of, eat around it. But it's got another level of protection, okay? That inside those hollow balls, the ants go in there and they live. And there's all kinds of goods in there for the ant. Like it's taking care of the ant and the ant takes care of it. Because once some animal comes and starts to eat everything, those ants, even big animals, right? Even big tough animals, they get covered with so many of these ants that are biting away at it that they never come back to that tree again. You see? This is part of the jugglery.
That's the miracle, man.
The tree's taking care of the ants are taking care of the tree. Now you were talking about the banyan tree, right?
Yeah.
And how it
got?
grows.
What do you got for the banyan? The banyan and
Let me see.
the banyan, the people, and the ashvata. They're all very similar.
Well, I think it mentions the people in here when it's talking about the banyan, and I think it's just like another variety of it.
It's another variety. Yeah.
It says, okay, so here it goes. Like
People spelled, which I
here you
just
go.
found out, P-I-P-A-L. I always thought it was like people.
Well, this spells it P-E-E-P-U-L, people.
They're Sanskrit words, so it really depends who's just translating it.
Okay. Well, here you go. In the very first sentence, by the way, it is a ficus, Raghunath. It's a ficus Van Halen.
Ficus Van Halen. All right. It was one of Eddie's favorite trees.
Van Halensis. Like its biological sibling and symbolic male partner, the people, the banyan is native to the Indian subcontinent, revered at temples and a meeting place for villagers.
Yeah.
But this species has the biggest crown of any tree on earth. It is named after Banyans, the general term for the traders whose entire teeming marketplace could be shaded by a single specimen.
Yeah, it was for it was a cast of people that would set up a marketplace under their tree.
Yeah, because they spread out so large.
Yeah.
This giant may begin life when its seed is okay, so here's how it grows. This giant may begin life when its seed is deposited along with a dollop of fertilizer by a bird, bat, or monkey in a moist cleft in a tree of a different species. It starts out as an epiphyte. Do you know what an epiphyte is?
Like a parasite.
Okay. Using another plant only for support, while taking nutrients and water from its surroundings. The little sprout hurriedly puts down thin roots onto the ground, and they begin to supply the growing tree above. They expand massively. Soon they are able to envelop the trunk of the host and bind together to create a thick, smooth gray web.
This is what, remember when we were younger, there was a Krishna Balaram tree?
Yeah,
There was a tree growing out of another tree, and one was white and one was black.
but I
And
don't
this
think
was,
that's not what this is describing. I don't think.
yeah, it is. It's enveloping the host.
But that tree wasn't enveloping the host. It was just
Yeah, it
kind of.
was.
All right. I beg to disagree on that point. We're gonna have to, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that.
Kaustubha's going to envelop me now.
Okay.
You're the host. I'm going to envelop you.
So it envelops the host tree, and it wraps around it and creates a smooth gray web. Eventually, the host tree dies, starved and girdled, often leaving an impressive straitjacket of an aerial banyan roots with a hollow center where the dead tree once lived.
Fascinating.
Right. So, in any case, sometimes it's called the strangler fig, but there's so many fascinating things, and we should talk about this because there's a famous story, and it even feels like Prabhupada's alluding to it in that commentary. But I wanted to read to you just before we do that about the neem tree.
Okay.
All right.
Well, neem is, considered an auspicious tree. We make they make japa chanting malas out of neem. The neem leaves are used for cooking. They're medicinal for stomach ailments. I chew on neem leaves to get rid of mosquitoes because it makes your blood,
Pesticides.
right? Makes your blood acidic, I think, or
I don't know.
alkaline. I can't remember, but it gets rid of mosquitoes. What else do I do with neem? I brush my teeth with a neem when I see the neem.
Indian people.
There's sweet neem. There's different versions. Some is for cooking. Some you don't cook with.
Okay. I guess
There's neem
you should write a book
oil.
on.
I should write a book on neem.
Okay.
And Lord Chaitanya was grown under the neem tree. It's considered
true.
like an antiseptic tree. And
Well, you see, the British would think, oh, these Indians, they're all into this neem if it's such a big deal, but like they're just superstitious.
the British.
The British.
Let's British bash. Let's spend some time just bashing the
We're
British.
not against British, but we are against a lot of what they did in India. Okay. So here we go. Neem trees, millions of them, are a ubiquitous feature of the rural landscape of India. These attractively tall evergreens provide welcome shade and thrive in arid areas, even in infertile soil. What a miracle that this tree can
That's
grow.
a miracle. Write that one down. You could send me that one as the miracle.
They produce
They grow
small,
in unfertile soil.
They produce small, white, honey-scented flowers, which attract bees, and greenish-yellow, olive-like fruit, which yield an oil that features strongly in traditional medicine and folklore, as Raghunath was pointing out. Neem is used as a homegrown remedy for almost every ill, a culturally beloved panacea, akin to chicken soup for the Jews, I don't think so, or tiger balm for the East Asians. Well, millions of Indians swear by chewing a twig of neem instead of using a toothbrush, and it works very well. You see, right? In Bengal, you see these like really old
toothbrushes
people with
are
really
new.
good, strong teeth.
Toothbrushes happened like recently.
Because this thing is not only kind of
I'm
rubbing.
convinced. Mark my word on this one. I'm convinced toothbrushes will be wiped out.
Okay,
I'm serious.
I'll note that down.
They're filthy.
When will they be wiped out by?
I'd say in 20 years.
Give it 20 years. Okay.
20 years. People will be like, what were we thinking?
No, because
brushing our teeth with that filthy
the
thing.
neem twig makes so much more sense. You take that twig, you chew on it, so it creates like a little kind of like brush-like thing on the end. You rub it against your teeth. Not only does it physically wipe off, what's ever on your teeth, but it's also spreading the neem oil. And that neem oil is a very powerful antiseptic, right? It's a miracle. It's better than any toothbrush that you could design in a laboratory.
And you throw it out.
And they're grown all over the tree.
Yeah. They're free.
Strings of its distinctly scented leaves flutter above humble village doorways, hung as protection for those inside. But what this goes on to describe is how it was seen as like this superstitious thing or whatever. But then when you actually study it, it's actually full of all kind of natural chemicals that are very powerfully antiseptic. And it does so many amazing things. But what caught my attention is the last paragraph. You ready?
Hit me.
He writes, neem trees and this is anyway, I'm going to read it and then we can discuss it. He says, neem trees themselves have been planted with success. Let me make sure I'm on the right. Yeah. Neem trees themselves have been planted with success among cotton crops in India and vegetable fields in West Africa. However, given that the neem given that neem insecticide is effective, safe, cheap, sustainable, and biodegradable, and that its supply would have the positive effect of requiring environmentally helpful tree planting, right? What are you doing?
A picture of you just freed.
Okay. So he basically what he just said. And by the way, earlier in this he wrote that this stuff is so potent. It was incredible, like calculation, but it was like something like. Let me see if I can find it. I'm sorry that I didn't have this handy, but like the ratio of what you need of neem oil to like I suppose water, like it was like an incredibly tiny amount. Like it was like 14 to a million parts or something like that. It becomes effective. So it was saying that even when the air is blowing the leaves, like if you have one in your home, you're not going to have a problem with mosquitoes, just from the wind, So the stuff's so potent. So here he just said that it's effective, safe, cheap, sustainable, biodegradable insecticide.
It's a Krishna miracle.
It's a Krishna miracle, and if you were to market it, it would mean you'd grow tons of these trees, which are have a very good environmental effect. So
You
why?
mean I shouldn't just spray DEET all over my body? You mean that's not a good thing?
Well, now hold on.
Isn't it amazing? I don't want mosquitoes, but I'm going to spray this right into my biggest organ of my body that actually eats whatever I put on it.
Well, this is the point. Now, hold on. You see that's the point. Why isn't everybody in the world using this stuff? Why isn't this being marketed like super wide? Right?
If it grows on trees.
It literally grows on trees.
It literally grows on trees, and therefore you can't sell it.
So, despite all this, he says perhaps the most perplexing question is why it isn't in wider use around the world. You know why? Now we're going to find out how stupid humans are.
Yeah.
All right.
If you thought you knew, hold on for this one.
The reason has more to do with economics than with science. Neem has a long tradition of use in India, which makes it difficult for commercial firms to patent products based on it. Right? You can't patent it. Without being able to protect a product from competition, those firms have little incentive to pay for regulatory approval of neem oil products or for advertising and distribution. Companies can more profitably sell patentable synthetic chemicals, even though in some instances they may be less effective or more harmful. The free market doesn't always get it right. Right? So, if the aliens came down, right? Which I'm sure they do every day.
They are on a regular basis. Would mean if.
Well, I'm sorry how I phrased it.
They might be on Zoom right now.
Right, they're hearing this.
Jeffrey Ackler, he's like, they're on to me.
When the alien, that's why he's not wearing his glasses today. He's like disguising himself. When the aliens come down and they look at us, what are they thinking? Right, like that everything is provided for these people. It's literally growing out of the ground. If you need a pesticide, you've got it right there. It's effective, it's powerful, it's literally grown on trees, it doesn't harm you in any way. But somehow you screw things up and decide that we need to create it with synthetic chemicals, and we put this on our bodies and it's harmful. We spray it all over our food and it's harmful. We ingest this stuff into our bodies through the food. It's like, what the hell are these people thinking? Well, we needed to create this big, massive business, industry, so that we could make money, so that we could be happy, when everything's just right. If you need food, it's all provided. It's just grown right out of the earth, right? Just trees alone, if you need to light your home, you can do it with olive oil. You can do it with castor oil. You can do it with so many things. You can burn that fuel. If you need wood to build your homes, it's just grown right out of the ground. If you need cloth for your clothes, it's just grown right out of the ground. Every need, is supplied by Mother Earth, and what to speak of if you bring the cow into the picture, then it's like you got the whole thing, right? You got more fertilizer, more like organic fertilizer. You got organic power, you know, miracle of milk, all these different things, you know, like they, it's all being provided for us. And if you look at each one, it's fascinating. You can write books on it, right? You can write books on just how fascinating the jugglery of all of this is, how one tree serves another, you know, like how they sometimes they work in tandem to support each other and to help each other, you know. All of this jugglery is going on all around us at every moment, and we're so dull that we're missing it. And because we miss it, we do ridiculous things that just screw up our lives. We just have to accept it, right?
What are our takeaways today, Kaustubha?
I would say one takeaway is that slow down, right? Slow down a bit and just really think about what's going on around us at every moment. Every little Fibonacci spiral that's taking place. Take a good look at it and think, did this just happen? Or did there have to be a juggle? If all this juggling is going on, doesn't there have to be a juggler behind it? And if there is, that juggler's potency seems to be practically unlimited, right? And once you begin to think that way, everything starts to open up. Like your ability to understand truth begins to reveal itself. And without that, you're kind of like stuck in illusion, right? You start to use all your psychological, how we rationalize things kind of leads us away from truth rather than towards truth. Even our scientific, discoveries or knowledge.
Lady Di says, change your dull goggles to miraculous.
There you go.
There's potential in one seed.
Just one. Oh, we didn't even tell the story.
Of what?
Maybe we'll tell that tomorrow about the cobbler and the.
Oh, it's okay.
We'll tell it tomorrow.
That's all right.
You don't like that story either?
Well, the way you tell it, I probably will. Maybe I just don't like the way I tell it.
It'll be good.
Okay, so here's some takeaways.
I
Krishna
wanna hear you.
provides the miracle. The miracle is real. Life is a miracle.
Okay.
Oh, we never got to hear Kaustubha's ghost story. That's what we didn't hear. We're going to wait for tomorrow.
Yeah, we don't need to hear that one.
Fun show today with Nature Boy
Where's
Kaustubha.
Mara?
That was good. Sugar
didn't know
Shack.
I'm
That's
such a
what I
nature
wanted to
guy,
call it. The
right?
Sugar Shack. The Sugar Shack.
You know what, Raghu? You were probably at your, what did you call that thing? The Kanak? What was it called? Your little gathering, social gathering?
Klatch.
Klatch?
Kanach.
You had your klatch in your denim jacket and your bandana, and you're thinking, I'm such a nature guy. That Kaustubha's in the city. He doesn't appreciate nature like I do. Right?
I was in my Sugar Shack with my bandana.
Okay.
Thanks for everybody for joining us. A lot of good takeaways. A lot of good talks about banyan trees. I'm going to do a reading for my memoir. Memoir sounds so much more exotic.
Memoir.
For my book I'm working on.
When
if
is
you're
that?
interested, I'm going to do it next Tuesday at 7 p.m. for our
Instead of Sweet
Patreon
Baby
members.
Krishna, you've replaced Krishna with your own life? We're hearing Krishna's Leela, now we're hearing your Leela? What is this?
No, we're going to do...
How dare you?
We're going to do Krishna Leela. I'm going to do 2 next week, but Tuesday we're going to do
Okay.
Raghu stories. So if that's 7 a.m. for Patreon members, if you want to join that little party, it's patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. We are community supported. So if you're in the community, we appreciate your support. Thank you. Whatever you give, anything, and you're welcome to enter into that little world, that secretive world. Okay. Thanks everybody for joining us. Remember, you got to email me you got to message me on Instagram, at Raghunath Yogi, your miracles that are happening in your life. I want to hear about them because it makes me start to appreciate the miracles that are right in front of my face that I'm taking for granted. And this is a big part of shifting our goggles around, is to appreciate the magic. That's our takeaway today. Appreciate the magic. What do you think about that?
Appreciate
That's
the
my
Bhakti Recovery Group. That's at 12 today, 12
Yes.
Eastern time.
And also,
You know what else you have to appreciate? Mara. Do you have a message for Mara? Because she's probably going to hear this, Raghu.
Mara, appreciate the magic. Appreciate the sun and the sea.
How about Mara come back?
Mara, come back.
Come
Mara.
back, Mara. We almost weren't
Tina
able to get this thing started.
Tina Scheid's giving a class at 6:30 for Patreon members too.
6:30 a.m.?
6:30 a.m. this morning.
Okay, so that's like real soon.
That was a message from Mara. Yeah.